Jealousy and envy seems to be something that universally holds us back spiritually. Can you elaborate more on why it does this and what is the negative effect that jealousy has, and can anything good come from it?
Before we kind of see good or bad of jealousy, what is jealousy? Where does it come from? It's important to understand. And it has become more so in today's world. The social media is kind of taking everything. And it's the marketing pressure from so many things. When we have lost the touch with ourselves, we are valuing everything from outside, from material things that we have. Say, for example, a new iPhone comes up. And if you look closely, there's hardly any feature addition from a new one to an old one. And yet the lineup is long. You have to book a phone before. Why? Because I have to keep up with the world. It is comparing me with you. Always a comparison of me with everybody else around. And when I feel that I am not having enough, what others, my friends or my circle is having, this is the cause of jealousy in the first place. And it's becoming more and more. And it's not only just the phones anymore. It's my car, my phone, my watch, my clothes. Are they branded or are they not branded? My bags, my laptop, everything. Everything that you can think of is branded, and it's always a comparison. It's always a race. And we call the rat race, Am I better than the others? Or others are kind of getting ahead of me? And this causes jealousy. And we are running, chasing, saving money, stealing whatever we can to keep up with the race. And it'll be a never-ending process. This jealousy will never go if we keep on with this. And the reason why I'm comparing myself with others is that I have never connected or understood my inner self, my real self. In Brhamanda Yoga, we say, never ever compare yourself with anybody else except yourself. You look at yourself, what am I today? And then I set my goal tomorrow. I want to be better than myself. I want to be better than myself. Then you will make a real progress, not only just in a spiritual manner, but in a material world also. You will still gain more than what you have gained by joining the rat race. But then you will know that I don't need so many unnecessary things. I don't need to keep up with the people, to keep up with the society, with the new phones or cars or everything. I try to find my happiness within myself, which is the real happiness. Outside is jealousy. Like today, say for example, I get a car. My neighbor has a Toyota. I get a BMW. I am happy that now I am better than jealousy gone. But next week, my neighbor gets a Range Rover. Over. My happiness gone, jealousy again. So, do we want this in our life? And there is no solution except stopping that comparison outside and bringing the comparison inside of me. I am always competing with my own self to become a better human being on a daily basis. And it takes analysis. It takes a lot of courage and strength. And many times, even when you try it, you still may not be successful. You will need help. And that's where Brhamanda Yoga comes in. A lot of time when you're trying to break an old habit, this is a habit, right? It's not even a habit, Ali, it's an addiction. So do you think if somebody say addicted to alcohol, right? How many people out of 100 will be able to give up on their own? They need help. Similarly, in this process also, you cannot do it on your own. Again, 1 in 1 million may be able to do it. But for most people, you need help. And that's where the practices of Brhamanda Yoga, the sadhana, the daily practice of pranayams, meditations, will help you do that. It'll bring your mind to a certain level where you can focus and see what I am really doing. That unless I don't even see myself being a part of the rat race, why would I need to even change? And we start living in a comfort zone of jealousy. And a lot of people living in that state, they're not even aware. So it's only when some people recognize that, no, this is not what I want. And then begins the process. Then Brahmanda Yoga is there to help you, to teach you the different methods, how to kind of control your mind, how to control your emotions. And a lot of that is also due to the collected karma, all this stuff that I've been doing, being in the rat race. It's a karma. And I'm accumulating it. And that load doesn't allow me to make any changes, the load of the karma. So the practices of Brahmanda Yoga will help you, first of all, shed a bunch of karma. And then with the other practices and sadhana, it becomes relatively easier to let go of this whole rat race, stop focusing outside of other people have, but you focus on your own self. And it doesn't mean that you stop the desire of getting more material things, more comfort. No, it's okay. But you will understand that now I am getting what I really need, but my happiness is still not coming from it. Maybe a little more comfort, a little more kind of euphoria, whatever you call it, but that's not going to be a source of my happiness. If I know my happiness is coming from inside and I learn how to find it, then no matter what the world is doing, it's not going to bother me.
That's a great explanation of jealousy, especially when it comes to a material standpoint. That's very clear. But also, this sparks the question in my mind when it comes to jealousy about immaterial things, right? Because some people might look at somebody and be like, they're better looking than me, or they're so much more charming than me. They're naturally more stronger looking. They have a better physique. So, how can we deal with jealousy and envy when it comes to these things where it's not outside of us? Like it seems like it's outside of our control, really.
Surely, more or less, is the same thing.
Okay.
Material things are that you are acquiring, right? And I am associating myself or my worth or my value based upon these material things. And these things that you are talking about the looks and stuff, yeah, it is kind of, you're born with it or not born with it, right? But then being weak or not confident, again, it is all as long as I am comparing myself to others. And we all know that the beauty is more than skin deep, right? It is like the personality. And if you feel that you're weaker than others, then you perhaps need to work out. But then again, work out not to compare myself with somebody else, right? So if I am comparing myself, even I'm in a good shape, and I'm comparing myself to a professional bodybuilder, that is not a fair comparison in the first place. And all this process, again, as we have discussed in previous, podcasts, stems from one basic fundamental issue that most people don't know what they want in their life. Once you have taken the help of Brahmanda Yoga, sat down, did an analysis, and found out what is it that I truly want. Once I've identified it, then I don't need to compare it with anybody else. It's my own goals, my objectives, and my focus will be on my path, my karma, that I am going to achieve that. If I feel weak, I'll work out, gain strength. And once you start doing the practices of Brahmanda Yoga, your inner energies will make you radiant. which is more important than the beauty, the external beauty, the looks that you talk about. You can be like, and we've seen like so many people who are just average, plain looking, but their personality shines.
Oh, yeah.
Look at some of the saints, who are at a very higher level. They're not doing any makeup. They have a beard or long hair, but their eyes, their face glows and they attract people. So this is what it is all about, working on ourselves. And again, even in this category too of my looks, my appearance, my strength, it's all again relative, not comparing it to anybody else but myself, and trying to first find out what I want to be, and then work on it, work on to achieve it, and you will find that you are more happier. You are again not comparing yourself to anybody, right? So this is the best advice from Brhamanda Yoga to anybody who's going through. And again, it's easier said than done. It is not that a lot of people will be able to do it on their own. Because if somebody could just do it by listening to this message, there are so many self-help books available. How many people have they been able to transform? No, it doesn't. That's why you need a guide. You need a plan. Somebody to work with you, somebody to show you the right path, somebody to help you get the practices of Brhamanda Yoga, adopt them, and then take these tools to bring the transformation that you need to bring.
Somebody who's hands-on, who's already had the hands-on experience, somebody who's already put in the time and the effort, and they're also willing to show you the true path.
Yeah.
And I think that leads perfectly into my next question, which has to do with approval seeking, right? And you were mentioning comparing ourselves with others, the detriment of that. We've also talked about it in the previous podcast, right? And my question is, when it comes to seeking approval, how does that hurt us in terms of our growth? And why is it that we do this anyway? Like, why is it so common?
So this is kind of related to your previous question. It is about lack of self-confidence. And in my work of like many years, I've seen in many instances, you'll be surprised, this issue stems from the childhood. When people are young, children, starts at home. The parents or the family comparing 2 or 3 siblings with each other. This is better, he can do this, she can do this, you cannot do it. So you are giving that sense of incompetency or being less and smaller than others. And then it's very difficult to come out of it. Then it just expands. Then that's when these same children, when they grow up, they go to school. Now there is that comparison from all angles. At home it was just the siblings. Now you have the whole class, the whole school to compare. And not only your confidence level, but also again, as we talked in the material things, my phone, my car, my this and that.
Especially with how competitive everything is nowadays.
Yeah. So once you have that kind of a feeling, you feel smaller and less than others or not capable because you've been told so repeatedly, it is very difficult to get rid of it. Again, I keep on saying ad nauseum, for this you definitely need help. You have to, because this is all karmic load that you're carrying, that people have told you certain things. Maybe not verbally, but emotionally, inside you have reacted. So karma is not a physical act as most people think. Every thought that you think is a karma. So every time this child or an adult is told that you're not capable, you're not enough, or you're less than others, it just keeps on piling up. And to come out of this is a very difficult task. And for that, you definitely need help with this. You need meditations where you go deeper in the subconscious mind, burn this karmic loads that you're carrying, negativities that you're carrying, Once you do that and then start adopting the practices, the pranayams, the meditations that you can do on yourself, then you can slowly start coming out of it. And once again, the bottom line is stop these comparisons and going inwards and remembering that if I have to compare myself, the only person I can compare myself is to my own self. And once you find, when you connect yourself to inner self, then you will see for yourself, experience yourself. You have immense power. You are divine. You are beautiful. You are an ocean of love yourself. Once you start seeing that, because all these people who have been feeling like that, they feel that they're not being loved. And they're going from one place to another, one person to another. Please give me some love. Please give me some love. Please give me some love. It is like an ocean going to different taps and asking for, give me some water, give me some water, give me some water. Because the ocean has not seen itself as an ocean. And whenever you connect to your inner self, and when you see that you're an ocean of love, you would never go anywhere asking for love. You just be there and rest of the world will come to you. Like they go to the ocean for water, they'll come to you. Give me love, give me love, give me love. So it's all about internalizing, connecting to my inner self and seeing who I really am. I am that divinity. I am that power. I am the strength. I am the courage. I am the success. I am the universe. Aham Brahmasmi, as our scripture says. So once you achieve that, then there is no looking back. Then there is no jealousy. There is no lack of confidence, no lack of strength. Then it's only success, joy, happiness, and what we call bliss.
Oh, it's a great explanation, Sanjeevji. And so, in terms of like social media, people are always showing off, like, they got this, they got something new. Um, I find it to be it can be quite detrimental to someone's mental health because, like, myself, like, especially a few years ago before I started Brahmanda Yoga, I would always be looking on social media and see, oh, this person has that, this person has this. So my question to you is, even though you've already covered this, but this is a little bit different. When it comes to social media, how does social media itself, how can we use it more healthily, and not let it have this negative impact on us?
It's very simple, Ali. I'll go to the basic fundamental of this question is that why are we human beings different and better than animals? There are reasons, but there is one distinct thing that separates us from an animal is that we have the power to choose. Right? And the animals don't have a power to choose. A lion cannot wake up one day and say, I'm going to be vegetarian today. And tell the lioness, please bring me some salad. And a cat is not going to look at mouse and say, you're looking so cute today, I'm going to let you go. They don't have a choice. But we do have a choice. And the power to choose is, say, social media. There's a ton of good stuff on social media. Instead of going towards the negative things that are there, I can go towards positive things. But along with the power to choose, you must have the strength to choose the right thing. Because like energy attracts like energy. If my mind, because of my own actions, my own thoughts, repeatedly for weeks, months, years, are filled with these negative emotions, thoughts, visuals, experiences, then I'll naturally be drawn towards the negative things on the social media. And I would not even think about the choice, that I have a choice, because I'm drawn towards them. So again, ad nauseum, that I say is, take the practices of Brahmanda Yoga. Burn that past experiences of negativity that you have loaded yourself in your subconscious mind. And as you release them, you will find automatically you can have the power to exercise the right to choose. And then you choose positive. Then you listen to positive stuff. When you listen to positive stuff, you can learn more. Because again, the more I stay in a particular zone, negative or positive, is what I'm going to manifest in my life. Yeah. So if I am connected to positive, I am thinking positive, I am experiencing positive, then the chances pretty much are that I will create and manifest positive, and add this to the power of knowing what you want. Once you have defined, created, and set your goals properly, then focus on the positive things all around you, then it comes all together and help you manifest your goals.
Basically, what you're saying, if for a long time, if we've been thinking negatively, if we've been just even feeling emotionally about something negatively, then it becomes our new autopilot state. And until we are conscious, then we cannot change it. Until we raise our awareness, we cannot change it.
Exactly. Because once you're an autopilot, it's like living in a state of constant daze. Like you're like half like a robot, not knowing what you're doing. Like you don't feel, that's what you've seen in social media. People get desensitized. People are getting desensitized from their own body, physical body.
It's like the default state now.
Yeah. And Brahmanda Yoga provides very simple, fundamental, easy steps to do that, to get that connection back first to your physical body, then to your mind, and then to your emotions. And then you will have the ability to see where I am going, where I am headed.
Right.
Right now it's like a living like a computer, like a machine. You wake up every morning and on an autopilot, you'll go through the day in a certain manner where you're not even aware what you're doing. Unless until some major thing happens, and so, wakes you up. That's why you will see that a lot of people who turn spiritual, they do it after a big event happens in their life, which shakes them up to reality and see like what I'm doing was, not right. And then they say, okay, let me find out how I can change this. And so this is like the beginning of a lot of people turning towards spirituality is of these negative events in life.
So you mentioned that the main thing that differentiates us from animals is the fact that we get to choose, right? And this actually perfectly leads into another question I had, and it's actually to do with animals. And my question is, do animals have souls? That's my question. And do they also acquire karma like us?
Every living thing, every animal, insect has a soul. But the difference is that only a human life has been given the right to perform karma and the power to choose. Animals do not have that right. They get what we call a bhog sharira, just to experience what is going to happen to them in a life. So they don't have a choice to choose anything in their life. They are born, they experience suffering, pain, death, whatever it is, and then go on to another life. They cannot choose to do karma, to release karma. That prerogative is only with human beings. And that's why we say that this life, the human life, is so valuable. Consider it precious, that don't waste it. And again, even as a human being, to understand that is not an easy thing, because you keep on getting a new life, keep on getting a new life. Because you born, you do your karma, increase the karmic load, then you die, then the soul takes on another body, and then again more load and more load and more load in every life, where you come to a stage where you cannot add any more load. It's saturated. That's when the soul goes into this rebirthing again and again in different animal lives. And that's Yogic Scriptures, about 8.4 million of them, where in every life of an animal, different animal, the soul releases one karma, one karma, one karma. And after all those lives, the karmic load again comes down, where the soul can again come back as a human life and get an opportunity. And even when they do, a lot of people will still not understand and keep on increasing the load and go over the same process. But some people, because of some event happening in their life or because of some past good karma, would have an awakening. And they will say that, no, I want to get out of this whole cycle of this suffering. So, and then you need a guide, a guru, a teacher who will hold your hand and take you to this whole process, that you start leading your life knowingly, consciously, and start releasing this karmic load one by the practice of daily sadhana, meditation, guided work. And the day the last karmic load is gone, that is the state of self-realization, and we call Aham Brahmasmi. I am that I am. So this is the whole process of human life and animal life.
Does that mean that every animal that we see, for instance, my cat, was once a human that's just trying to relive, like burn their karmas and come back to human form? Or is it just some animals that this is the case with?
My question back to you is, how does it matter to you that if some or all are souls on different journey? Just know that every animal is a soul and it's on a journey as well. And to kind of see at what stage of the journey they are in, it doesn't bring us any value. So we don't waste any time knowing that my cat or your dog or this is where they are. Everybody is going. That's why focus on myself. Focus on myself, where I am. Where do I stand and where I need to go.
So it is possible that soul, if it's just a cat, for instance, may get the opportunity to become a human one day and be reincarnated as a human. Like that's a possibility. Even if they weren't a human before, they can become a human.
It doesn't matter, again, like I said, whether they were human before or not. This is an ever-evolving universe, right? Once you understand the life energies, you understand the soul. The soul is a soul, right? Whether the soul is in a cat or a dog or a human being, the only difference being that when you are a human being, then you have all those privileges that a human has only. And at some point of life, everybody would have been everything. We may not remember, but Ali, you could have been a cat many times, a dog many times. But does it matter to you? Do we need to find out that how many times it has been, or whether this cat or dog, or how long will it be before they get into that human like body again? It's irrelevant. Everybody is in a journey, and we focus only and only on my journey.
Now, a lot of us have heard these terms when nature and nurture, right? And when it comes to each of us individually, my question to you was, how much of the miseries and negativity that we create in our lives are coming from nature and nurture, respectively.
So nature and nurture, they both have their relevance, right? But there is a distinct difference between the two. Nature is, say, what you got when you were born, right?
Like genetics and stuff.
Genetics.
Yeah.
It's fixed, it's static, right? It can evolve and get worse, but that's all, Whereas nurture or surrounding is ever evolving, ever changing. So what is changeable is more powerful for us. I cannot go back and say that, oh, I was born to a different set of parents, I had better genes. I cannot do that. But with my ability of that is changeable, my environment means that I get a teacher, I get a guide, a guru, and I start changing the changeable, and I can go back and repair my DNA. I can set a course for my future, set my goals, and then be who I want to be in the future. And that can be done more so by what I have around me and within me, not what was given. Because, you are handed a set of, affixed these different things in your life that you have to go through this. But then the surroundings is very, very relevant because it's not constant. It's variable. And variables work more for us.
And so even when it comes to nature itself, right? Like one of the biggest things that you taught me and Brhamanda Yoga teaches is that our genes are, most of them are inactive and they lay in the dormant state, right? So through the practices of Brhamanda Yoga, we can in fact even influence our very nature and genetics, correct?
Absolutely. And what we say is that in our science, many times, where most of the stuff, Brahmanda Yoga, science, we go accordingly, like very synergistically. But there are certain things which the science has not found out yet, because they say only 3% of or 4% of our DNA is active, and they call the remaining, 95, 96% as junk DNA. There is nothing junk within you. As we evolve as human beings, by nature, everything that is not needed is gone from us. The nature takes it away. How then is possible for an entire length of time we are carrying 96% junk DNA? No, it's not. It's just that because we have not discovered what the power and the potential lies in. And medical science has now shown already that even if you activate 1% more of your DNA, you start getting unbelievable powers within you. And everything that's been given to you is valuable, is useful. So the teachings of Brahmanda Yoga, the practices of Brahmanda Yoga, it helps you to constantly activate your DNA more and more. And that's why we say, as you evolve, as you grow, your powers keep on increasing. So if you want to be more powerful, then bring in these practices.
My next question actually has to do with religion. And one of the main principles of religion, or the main idea of religion, at least in my opinion, is that it unifies, it's meant to unify the masses. Why is it that religion nowadays tends to sift and separate the masses?
That's a great question. First of all, let me just say whatever thought about in Brahmanda Yoga about religion is that we respect all religions. And a person who's born in their religion should keep it. It's very valuable. But if you have to look at religion in a realistic manner, it works on two principles, every religion: award and punishment. It's all about, if you do this, God will be happy. If you don't do this, God will be upset. And it is to control the people. And that's why it is important for every religion to keep its people within its own fold and not go to other religions. And it can be done only and only by telling, mine is better than yours. Ours is better than others, so don't go and look at their. Swami Vivekananda explained it very nicely in his Chicago speech in 1895, I think. And somebody asked him, and that's what he said. It is, say, he gave an example of, there was a deep well in a village which was near the ocean. And there was this frog which was born inside that well. And that well was the whole world for him. He would jump from here to there and just live his life. And there was another frog which was in the ocean. One day a big wave came. It swept the frog from the ocean into the well. And now the well frog looked at this. He says, looks like me. He says, where are you from? He says, I'm from the ocean. He said, what is an ocean? And now how does this frog tell him? And he says, well, it is like your body of water in this well, but it's much bigger. So the frog said, he jumps from one side to another. He says, this big? And the other frog said, no, much bigger. Then he takes the wider side, jumps from this side to another. This big? He says, no, much bigger. He tries every side, and then he says, you're a liar. There can be nothing bigger than this. So we are all, in religion, we are sitting in our own wells, thinking that this is the world, and this is the whole world, and there can be nothing bigger than this. But a person who has become spiritual, who has seen the ocean, he will not have any anger or feeling of negativity towards this frog who's living in the well. He'll have compassion. And if somebody wants, someone inspired, can jump. But the only way this frog in the well can see the ocean is not by the sea frog explaining. It never worked. Yeah. It is somebody can take him out of the well, take him to the ocean and make him see it. And that's where, at some point of time, you keep your faith in the religion that you're born, but then there comes a desire that I want to see the ocean. I want to get out of the well. And then for that, Brhamanda Yoga is there.
I love that story. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great one. I remember reading it in the first chapter of the Swami Vivekananda book that you gave me. Yeah. Speaking of religion, and obviously this brings in the word God, right? And my question to you when it comes to God is there a specific way or language that we should be communicating to God in? Because, most of us will speak to God in English or whatever our mother tongue is, but you've mentioned this to me briefly, that God doesn't speak in our language. It's something else. What do you mean by that?
Great question. There are different levels of communication, as we say in Brhamanda Yoga, which comes from ancient scriptures, that the highest level is called Paramani. But we'll go in the details in another podcast, But in a layman's language to understand is that if you ask a layman what is the most powerful language, it is the language of silence. Silence is the most powerful language for communication. Because when you come to any other different forms of speech, there could be mistakes, there could be words, there could be nuances which can have a different connotation, a meaning, and evoking different emotions and stuff. So Silence doesn't have that. Silence is powerful. And that's why somebody asked this question. What is the difference between praying and meditation? And here comes the answer. You know how we did in our previous question, that a lot of people say the goal of meditation is to stop my mind. And we say no. Then it is not meditation, it's a struggle. Meditation begins when the mind stops. Why? It comes to silence. So the difference between prayer and meditation is, in prayer, we speak to God in whatever languages you asked me. In meditation, God speaks to us. And that comes only when you are silent. I am not throwing my garbage onto anybody or God. It's always complaining or give me this, give me that. When you meditate, you are at peace. Then He gives you the wisdom. Then He gives you the experiences that you're looking for. That is when you cut your karma, where you evolve, where you grow. So it is very important to learn the language of silence, and it can be done through the sadhanas of Brhamanda Yoga and meditations.
So you're saying that the language of God is silence. Our emotions, can that also be a way to speak to God? Or is that how He speaks to us? He makes us feel?
Again, it's the approach, Ali. Again, you are asking that in this language, how do I tell? Because that is our training. I want to go and tell everything to God. As if He doesn't know you. If we say that He is the infinite, the all-knowing, He doesn't know Ali, then why do I need to tell Him? The reality is I need Him to tell me, about this universe, about this wisdom, about this, all that is the secrets of this nature. It's not going to happen when I am speaking. When I am speaking in languages, He speaks in silence. And you'll say, oh, how will He speak to me? Let Him do it for you. Just silence yourself and experience it yourself, that how He will communicate with you. Because it's difficult can I show you gravity? You cannot. I cannot, explain gravity to you. But I can make you experience gravity. But same thing here, if I try to explain this silence in speech, which is the opposite of silence, I will never be able to be successfully to tell you about. It has to be experienced.
So Lord Buddha was quoted saying, one of his famous quotes was that life is dukkha, or suffering. And my question to you is, based on Brhamanda Yoga, you've explained to me in the beginning, you're not born in this life to suffer. And we know that Buddha was also following the teachings of Brhamanda Yoga, essentially. So why would he say something like this? What did he mean?
First of all, let me ask you, Ali, where did you get this information that Buddha said life is suffering? He never meant that. And also understand that all the siddhas, like self-realized souls like Buddha and many other in our lineage, they spoke in terms and things that were relevant in those times. And if you look at which is like documented evidence, Buddha spoke contradictory stuff from his own speech at many different times. And it was only to give some wisdom to the people who were sitting in front of him. So it was meant to give information, give wisdom, impart. Depends. See, for example, he goes to a group and he does know at what level their consciousness is. Right. So they give them a certain message, And then they will understand it, and they'll go to another group where their level of consciousness is different, and his words will be different, message will be different. But the key thing, principles behind each message will still be the same. And as we know that Buddha got into the spirituality at a young age, he was a crown prince, and he was kept away from any suffering by his father, knowing, because the fortune tellers had told him that if he kind of experiences any pain or suffering around him, he will turn spiritual. And he didn't want that to happen. But one day accidentally went out. There's a story that he saw an old man, he saw a sick man, he saw a dead body which he had never seen before. And that transformed him so much that soon after he ran away from home to become spiritual. So for him, suffering was not the key. Suffering was not a norm. His whole journey was how to rise above this suffering. If he had accepted suffering, he would have stayed home and say, okay, I'm going to suffer too. But his whole journey was why. And his whole goal of self-realization was to rise above this, to get out of this cycle of suffering, life and death. So, and if you look at the whole life of Buddha, after he became self-realized, he never stayed in one place. That was his rule for his disciples. They would never stay at any place for more than a few days, so that there is no attachment ever happens to anybody. And he was constantly traveling. And at every place that he went, based upon the need of those people or the group or the community or the place that he went to, he changed his message a little bit. But the crux of the whole wisdom that he imparted, which made the life beautiful for so many people and does it to even today, was that the basic fundamental was the same. To watch our previous podcasts, click here. And finally, I bow down to all of you and the divinity within you. Thank you and bless you.